Thank you so much for joining us. Let's start here then. More than a week after Nigerian televangelist Timothy Omotoso was acquitted on rape as well as human trafficking charges, the CRL Commission will this morning lead a briefing of Chapter 9 institutions on the case. The CRL Commission for Gender Equality and the Human Rights Commission will outline plans to address what they call systemic failures in the justice system. Now, Omotoso and his two co-accused were acquitted after the court ruled the state failed to prove the case. The judge also criticized the prosecution's weak cross-examination. The collapse of the state's case has drawn widespread condemnation, even prompting the Justice Minister to ask for a detailed report from the National Prosecuting Authority. Now, Sipha Kema covered the Omotoso trial then for us in Gqeberha and joins us now live. Sipha, let's just run through the timelines perhaps of this trial and how it all ultimately fell apart, just as a reminder as well to our audience. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Arabile. Good morning to the viewers. As you mentioned, that it's just been just a week after the verdict that was read out by Judge Irma Skuman, acquitting Omotoso as well as two co-accused, Lusanda Solane and Zukiswa Sito, of all 32 charges brought against them. That was quite a shock to many South Africans, but also advocacy groups, as well as including the three Chapter 9 institutions who are expected to hold a media briefing today. But going through the timeline, Arabile, it all started in 2017 with the arrest in April, 20th of April, the arrest of Timothy Omotoso. And that was as a result of a whistleblower, the late Pamela Mabini, coming forward with evidence as well as bringing in the complainants, or rather also the victims of alleged to be victims of Timothy Omotoso, were brought in to open a case against Timothy Omotoso as well as the two co-accused. Now, as the timeline has it, I mean, it is really, it was a bumpy ride, Arabile, getting us to the final judgment day, where we've seen delays of applications, 3 bail applications that were all three dismissed, trying to have the case thrown out of court, as well as application to have some of the charges dropped, which of course it worked to the defense's advantage, as due to insufficient evidence, Judge Irma Skuman then lowered the charges from the initial 63 to then 32. But talking about the work done by the CRL regarding the Timothy Omotoso trial, Arabile, they started in 2018 working closely together with that whistleblower, the late Pamela Mabini, as well in this matter. Now, in October 2018, they even made recommendations to National Assembly regarding the issues affected by the religious sector when it comes to being unregulated and the mushrooming of churches across the country, both led by South African pastors and foreign national pastors, saying that it has become an issue, but also making an example of Timothy Omotoso, saying that some of his congregants, majority of them, come from poverty-stricken backgrounds. It's youth that has been unemployment, therefore making them vulnerable to being taken advantage of, Arabile. But regarding her reaction, the chairperson of the CRL, Thokozile Mkhwanazi, on the acquittal of Omotoso, we caught her just after the judgment was read out, including the verdict, and to tell you that you can hear the disappointment and the frustration in her voice, because this is 8 years of supporting the complainants and the victims that came forward. This was her reaction to the acquittal.
The NPA let us down. The NPA let these witnesses down. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of victims out there who were waiting to see how this case goes. If it was a matter of not cross-examining the accused appropriately, as the judge says, then we're leaving it at the door of the NPA.
So, Sipha, let's talk about what we can then expect from today's briefing.
Well, today, Arabile, as we've heard the judgment, the areas of concern that the judge had highlighted, which contributed to the acquittal of the three accused, and most importantly was highlighting misconduct coming from the National Prosecuting Authority, the former lead prosecutor in this matter, Advocate Ntelwa, as well as one of the prosecutors that was also working on this, Ismet Serfontein, was also mentioned, as well as far as the issue of the indictment, where the accused are said to have pleaded to the incorrect indictment, but it was picked up by the prosecutor. Although she picked it up, they continued with the trial and with the matter using an incorrect indictment. But also hearing how the advocate Ntelwa had allegedly influenced some of the witnesses coming forward. This tainted their testimony. So you could imagine now, with the three Chapter 9 institutions coming in to give this briefing, saying that they want to give an overall briefing on what they call a systemic failure, Arabile, when it comes to gender-based violence cases, rape cases against women, for women. It is a problem when it comes to the prosecution and getting a verdict that the victims will feel, as well as the public feel, is justified. So we are expecting them to lead the briefing regarding that, triggered, of course, by the verdict coming out of the Timothy Omotoso trial.